There are not a lot of wing players available. Terrence Ross, late last night, committed to the Phoenix Suns. And that was a player that earlier in the day may have been headed to the Dallas Mavericks. Built arms race in the West right now.
The Western Conference was already incredibly competitive, but right when you thought it couldn't get any better, the trade deadline occurred, which was, without a doubt, the craziest trade deadline that I think I've ever seen in my entire life as an NBA fan, and I'm not exaggerating that. And it seems like teams are not done reloading their rosters, especially this team in particular. So before we get to the content, make sure you drop like, subscribe, and turn on our notifications to help the channel grow. My football channel microphone that I made just 3 years ago is almost caught up to this channel, TheFlightMike. So make sure you subscribe and turn on our notifications so they don't catch up to us. Now that we got all of that out of the way, cue the intro. So many of my subscribers listened to me and made bank on the Super Bowl, bro. You remember when I told you to sign up with my promo code microphone to get a $100 deposit match? And then said this? And if Kenneth Gainwell gets more than 21.5 rush yards, you could 3x your money. Now, if you feel really good about this, you could also add Travis Kelce scoring 1 touchdown. And if both of these hit, you 5x your money. Well, a lot of you guys slid into my DMs on Instagram to show me how much money you made because of this hit. So huge shout out to all of you, man. I only have my promo code live for 2 more weeks, so I'm still gonna be posting my picks onto my Instagram account at TheFlightMike, and we're definitely gonna make some picks for the XFL and the USFL. And I post NBA picks onto my Instagram story on a daily basis. So make sure you sign up with my promo code microphone to get a $100 deposit match while it's still active. And thank you, Prize Picks, for making us all a bunch of money on Super Bowl Sunday. Mike Chuck 1212. What's going on, everybody? I gotta admit, I may have titled my video on the Los Angeles Lakers a tad bit prematurely when I said that the Los Angeles Lakers made the trade of the year. I ranked this trade higher than the Kyrie Irving trade to the Dallas Mavericks, not because I'm a Los Angeles Lakers homer, but because the Los Angeles Lakers got out of the most problematic roster in the entire NBA, and there's actually a light at the end of the tunnel if they want to contend. And then, right when we thought it couldn't get crazier, a few hours later, in the middle of the night, I think it was 1 a.m. for some of you guys, your boy was still on his way back from the Clippers versus Mavericks game where I saw Kyrie Irving debut. Right when you thought it didn't get any crazier, bam, the Phoenix Suns went all in, trading for Kevin Durant. I mean, this was an absolute home run of a trade for the Brooklyn Nets, by the way. I mean, I said initially the number one problem that the Brooklyn Nets had was the fact that it was very difficult to place adequate value on Kevin Durant. He's in his mid-30s. He's coming off of an Achilles tear. You don't know how much longer he's gonna be great for. Hopefully it's a long time, but there is that question looming. Now, currently we've seen athletes push the boundaries and the barriers of career longevity. I mean, primarily LeBron James and Tom Brady, but you can't assume each and every athlete could replicate that sort of success. Fortunately for the Brooklyn Nets, an absolute lunatic, I mean that in the most positive way possible, by the way, recently purchased the Phoenix Suns. His name's Matt Ishbia, and he said, I don't care what it takes. I don't even want to wait until tomorrow afternoon. I want Kevin Durant on this team. So the Brooklyn Nets would trade Kevin Durant and TJ Warren to the Phoenix Suns for a package that involves Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, Jay Crowder, 4 unprotected future first-round picks. And although it does suck that this team still doesn't have any of its draft picks as a result of the James Harden trade a couple of years ago, this trade definitely saved the Brooklyn Nets, and you could at least start your rebuild with some clarity because you have some very solid foundational pieces going forward. You have some great trade chips going forward. And in a sense, this also frees Jay Crowder, and the Brooklyn Nets also made a decision, which we've never seen before in NBA history, to essentially blow up their roster despite being the 4th seed in the Eastern Conference. I don't necessarily know if that's going to be the case, but this video is about the Phoenix Suns, so let's talk about them. Clearly, they're all in on this core of Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, Chris Paul, and now Kevin Durant. But questions started to surface about what is this team going to do for the sake of their depth. I mean, they also traded away Dario Saric. This team is extremely top heavy, and although it's very admirable that the Phoenix Suns were able to execute this trade without moving on from DeAndre Ayton and Chris Paul or Devin Booker, it's still a huge question that a lot of Phoenix Suns are asking. Once Kevin Durant goes to the bench, who's going to be filling up those minutes? Well, that's when the buyout market comes in. And it seems like the Phoenix Suns are going to go absolutely crazy in the buyout market. So Adrian Wojnarowski would tweet a few days ago that the Orlando Magic and guard Terrence Ross are finalizing a contract buyout, allowing him to become a free agent. Sources tell ESPN. Ross has played 7 seasons with the Magic and will now get an opportunity to join a contender. It's kind of crazy that Terrence Ross has been in the league for this long. I remember playing with him in NBA 2K13, and he was an absolute demon in NBA 2K13 back when your boy made NBA 2K videos. Now, the crazy part about this, and tell me if this sounds familiar, the Dallas Mavericks have emerged as the front runner to sign Terrence Ross once his buyout is complete. Sources tell ESPN. All right, so very cool. Looks like Terrence Ross is going to give the Dallas Mavericks some very much needed wing depth, considering the fact that they traded Dorian Finney-Smith and Spencer Dinwiddie to the Brooklyn Nets so they could acquire Kyrie Irving. So very cool. It seems like this is going to really help out the Dallas Mavericks. And then a few hours later, we found out a conflicting report from none other than Adrian Wojnarowski. Check this out. After Suns owner Matt Ishbia and coach Monty Williams joined the pursuit, guard Terrence Ross plans to sign with the Phoenix Suns. Sources tell ESPN. Ross finalizing a contract buyout with the Magic brings his 38% three-point shooting to the Suns' title pursuit. This is crazy. I mean, the fact that this happened to the Dallas Mavericks again, it's always the Dallas Mavericks, by the way. If you don't know what I'm referring to, we made a video about this. You remember when the Dallas Mavericks were trying to sign DeAndre Jordan a while back, and then Doc Rivers and Steve Ballmer pretty much locked DeAndre Jordan into his home and convinced him to extend with the Los Angeles Clippers? It was a whole mess of a situation. We have our own exclusive video on that. If you want to check it out, we'll leave it in the end screen. But Woj even continues to say that the Dallas Mavericks had emerged as a frontrunner earlier on Saturday, but the Suns made the case to Ross on the opportunity to join Kevin Durant and bolster the Suns' depleted wing depth on what figures to be a deep playoff run. By the way, it doesn't appear as though the Phoenix Suns are done. They might lure a NBA legend out of retirement, and we're going to get to that in just a sec. But this is not a very difficult choice if you're Terrence Ross. No offense to Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic, who are remarkable talents to watch. I was watching their game against the Sacramento Kings on Saturday. It was so awesome to watch these two play together. You're essentially choosing between two ISO-heavy players in Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, essentially being the guy that stands in the corner, hoping that his man sags off to help with Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic and get some open threes. Or you could join the Phoenix Suns and be in their starting lineup alongside Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, and DeAndre Ayton, which means Kevin Durant will likely play the 4. And it seems like Chris Paul, although he does have the ability to get buckets here and there, primarily his goal is to set up his teammates into positions to score. Devin Booker is a remarkable assassin, known for his scoring. Same could be said about Kevin Durant. He's a matchup nightmare. DeAndre Ayton is there to grab some boards and to bring an interior force. Terrence Ross brings three-point shooting around the perimeter. I think that's kind of a no-brainer for me. It seems like the Phoenix Suns aren't done though, because, and this hasn't happened yet, I mean, this is coming from a rumor page that I personally like, I personally trust. It seems like Dom2K even liked this post on Instagram. Make sure you're following us on Instagram, because I post my prize picks and a lot of my news onto my story there the moment I get it. But it appears as though Chris Paul wants Phoenix to sign Carmelo Anthony, per Suns insider Landon Buford. So a Suns beat reporter is saying this. This isn't just R.A. Abraham on Twitter just tweeting about BS and hoping it's right. And multiple articles are echoing this statement. The Phoenix Suns currently have a ton of injuries that they're dealing with, and Chris Paul and Carmelo Anthony have always been close friends. There's that famous quartet of Carmelo Anthony, Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, and Chris Paul. And I think it would make a lot of sense to bring in Carmelo Anthony. I mean, when he played for the Los Angeles Lakers last year, he was solid in his role. I don't think he was bad by any means. As a matter of fact, he was one of the better players on the team. He shot 38% from 3. He averaged 13 points per game. He is 37 years old. I don't necessarily know how much defense he's going to be bringing to you guys, but I definitely think he deserves to be in the NBA still. Despite how long he's played in the NBA, despite how old he is currently, I think he has a lot of value left to provide. Yes, he is going to turn 39 within the next 2 to 3 months, but it would be nice to see him make this final push to try to add a ring to his collection, especially because I think he would get valuable playing time. It won't be a Udonis Haslem Miami Heat situation in my opinion. Needless to say, the Phoenix Suns are really capitalizing capitalizing on this opportunity and really are going all in to start the Matt Ishbia era. They're currently 5th place in the West, and they're not that far away from 2nd place in the West. As a matter of fact, take a look at the conference standings so far. So it is very reasonable to expect them to potentially make a push within the top 2 seeds of the NBA. Denver Nuggets are a little bit more difficult to attain, in my opinion. So props to them. Really, I think all of the assets that they gave up for Kevin Durant make sense for the situation that they're in. Their window of opportunity to win an NBA championship is slowly closing shut, and they obviously took a huge step back over the past year after they did make it to the NBA Finals a couple years ago. So let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about this, man. Would you like to see Carmelo Anthony on the Suns? With that aside, what do you think about the new look Phoenix Suns? Do you think they're a super team, or do you think their lack of depth is going to come back to bite them in the ass? Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike. I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.